Welcome back to the Insect News Network. I'm your host, E.M. Brady, and I'm very pleased to bring you today the premiere edition of the I.N.N. Salon. We're going to interview the most compelling and innovative people in our society today to find out what they think and how they feel about insects. Scientists, economists, politicians, artists, even spiritual leaders. We want to know their insights into our 6- and 8-legged friends. And I couldn't be more happy to bring you this video of the Brower Youth Awardees. It's an annual award given out to young adults between the ages of 15 and 22 all around the country who are leading the charge in environmental activism and awareness. Of course, each one of them has a full-length interview, but this video is going to show just some of the snippets about how each of them thinks about insects. Enjoy this premiere edition of the I.N.N. Salon. One of the things through the Insect News Network we're trying to do is help to recreate a modern mythology surrounding 6- and 8-legged animals. They're everywhere. They're the most abundant life forms on the planet, and especially in urban populations, places where maybe the educational level is not as high, but places that need to be inspired. They need to be connected to the natural world. I think insects and spiders and other small creatures, they represent a great way for someone who's maybe feeling a little disconnected, maybe a little detached from this flow of the world around, to really learn about their life cycle, to learn their intimate details, and maybe create some new music, some new poetry, or some new artwork that can come from that.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, my insights to that, you know, I definitely agree, and I definitely think that not only are insects a big part of our world, our process of evolution, but also when you look at agriculture, there's certain bugs that can do some amazing things.
No, sure.
You know, we rush to kill spiders, but we don't understand that they actually kill those little flies that we have problems with.
Yeah, so, they keep everything in check, for sure.
They keep everything in check.
They're underappreciated, for sure.
Yeah, and you know, we get scared of them, but they actually come to good use in some you know, aspects. So I think education is important around that too. How can we use the various life forms that are around us, whether it be for medicinal purposes or whether it be for maintenance purposes? You know, it's just amazing.
Ants keep the world clean. They clean up 80% of everything that falls to the ground. So
and exactly, but if people don't know that, then it's like, oh, we're just going to kill some ants. You know? So I think awareness is a big part of that.
It is, and I think, D'Anthony, I appreciate the work you're doing in the awareness. Maybe somewhere down the road we can reconnect and get together with some people from your posse, from your neighborhood, and maybe from Sacramento State. Do a little live Insect News Network and get some new songs or some new poetry about insects. That'd make me happy. What do you think?
I mean, definitely.
All right, cool.
We got some talented.
Yes, we'll get Dave Room involved too. What do you think? All right, Dave Room.
We're gonna be doing a turf, you know, and then we're gonna get some youth involved too. And then that's the key too, arts. You know, so definitely. I mean, that's totally in line with what we need to be doing too. You know, connecting the arts and media to education. You know, that's
what cultural entomology is all about. Mythology, art, music, dance, inspiration, spirituality, and the best part is we can do it right here in the Bay Area. We're talking about the mythology of the mosquito from Wisconsin. Go ahead.
Yes. So how the story goes, just to sum it up, is these kids wander into the woods, and they were being very disruptive, and they stumble upon this great beast, and the great beast took them and pretty much took them back home to where he lived, and he was going to eat them. And so one of them got away and then went back to the camp where all the other tribal people were, and said oh, there's my brother's out there, we need to go out there and get him. So they gathered all their weapons and they went after the beast, and they killed the beast. And when the beast died, he broke up into all these little mosquitoes, because what the beast said was, you know, you can kill me now, but I'll always live forever. And of course we have mosquitoes. They should have never killed that beast.
Yeah, the mosquito is one of the most fascinating insects. It's one of my personal projects in life to really dive deep into a better understanding, because they're ubiquitous. Now, most people don't realize that very few mosquitoes are actually harmful to humans. Most are very benign. There's actually a scientist, a museum in Thailand, that believes that mosquitoes inoculate human species against a lot more virulent things. And it's one in many 100,000 that carry any type of a parasite. But of course, nobody really likes to have mosquitoes around. So Insects are great for environmentalism.
Yes.
Because they're right in your backyard. You don't have to go around the world. You don't have to try and fix the ozone. You can put down a piece of bread and see who shows up, you know?
Sure.
Now I imagine in New York there's probably some different opinions about insects, huh?
Yes, well, you're definitely right about that. It's all part of the cycle, and one of another project that we actually did, part of Action, was urban agriculture, and we planted a wildlife garden to bring actually other insects and birds to come through, and butterflies were one of them as well.
Yes.
Hummingbirds, and to help pollinate and spread native wildflowers throughout the community.
Beautiful.
Because we know how dangerous those invasive species can be.
Yes. Well, you're ahead of the curve if you're talking about that in New York City, because it's all about invasive species in New York City, right?
But it was definitely great to see not only our plants bloom, but the insects and all the housing it did, and welcoming new creatures to come to Hunts
When you
Point.
bring in the plants, you bring in the insects. When you bring in the plants, you bring in the happiness. And sometimes when you bring in the insects, you bring in the happiness too. And there's one in particular. I asked you what your favorite insect is. What do you think that might be?
A ladybug.
Ladybug. I love ladybugs too. I think they're the great ambassadors. I like to tell people that all young kids usually learn how to count because of ladybugs, you know.
Yes.
And of course, when you have gardens, they're wonderful beneficial predators. And you know, the mythology and the history of humans using ladybugs and co-evolving with ladybugs is very special. So maybe you can get me a picture of some of the ladybugs in one of your gardens. We'll put it up on the blog post.
I definitely see them on the leaves, and I feel like it brings luck and happiness to the garden.
Absolutely. And since you're from a Israeli and Peruvian background, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just so you know the mythology of the ladybug, the name came from the Middle Ages, and it was because the peasants saw when they had good crops that this little beetle showed up. It's actually a beetle, not a bug, and so they called it ladybug, or ladybird, named after the Blessed Mother of Jesus. So it's a beautiful little mythology. Most people don't know that. I love to share with them. I'm eager to know, you know, obviously working in the rainforest, there's such an abundance of 6- and 8-legged critters, as well as probably the most concentrated microbes and plant life and molds and everything you need, and it's in Ecuador, of course. And I'm wondering if there's one particular insect or one particular project that involves insects that you or your lab has focused on.
Well, I'm going to have to go with the blue morpho butterfly.
Ah, the blue morpho, right on, excellent. One of my favorite.
Because I really consider it a charismatic mini fauna for that area of the Ecuadorian Amazon. So.
Yeah, and it's one of the most beautiful butterflies in the world. If it's not known everywhere, it's known in many important places, especially because there are some endangered populations of the morpho. And you know about the wings of the morpho, peacocks and birds and some butterflies and moths. They are an excellent example of what's known in biomimicry as a photonic crystal. And the colors of the moth are, some of the colors are pigments, but it takes a lot of energy for a little critter to make pigments, right? And their lifespan is very short once they come out of the chrysalis. And so, I'm sorry, out of the cocoon, because it's a butterfly, so it's a chrysalis. And their crystals are little cells on their wings that actually refract the wavelengths of light, and that's what gives that beautiful iridescence. You know, isn't it the prettiest thing in the world to see?
Absolutely stunning, and you have to go there to see.
Yes, yes. And since this is the Insect News Network, we might as well ask a little bit about our 6- and 8-legged friends. Now, you seem to have a thing for pollination. That's what you mentioned a moment ago. Okay, tell me, what do you know about pollination?
I love bees.
Bees
are very important in our ecological corridor because we're trying to preserve this area around 3,500 acres of land. 3,500. I don't know if I said that number right.
Yeah, that's
3,500. Yeah, and it's a unique area that hasn't been touched by any sort of development, etc. So we really need our insects there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're very important factors of conservation.
¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama?
El Corredor Ecológico del Noreste.
Del Noreste, the Northeast Ecological Corridor.
Yep.
Okay, and what about you, Freya? I know up in Alaska everything's bigger. How are the insects up there?
We have some Big Daddy Longlegs.
Big Daddy Longlegs, that's great. Tell me about they might be of the Opalionata order, some of my favorite in the world. They're not quite spiders, they're not insects, they are arachnids, but they're different. So tell me about the Big Daddy Longlegs.
Well, I don't know that much about them. I ate one in first grade.
It's a great mythology already right there.
No, I seriously, because I was telling a lie, telling all my classmates that I could, so then I had to do it.